Happy Friday. It's the 16th of August. This will be Anti-Mormon Musings as I wait for the dawn in a parking lot somewhere in Southern California. Well, people, I just have to get a video up here. 4 out of the last 5 I've produced have not made it to the Dodger Game channel for one reason or another. The first 2 for editing issues I had on the phone, combined with me getting a little overly vitriolic. Then the third one went up. Was it the third one that went up? And the fourth one went up on the Mormon Truth Videos channel. You can go over there, and it's my response to a friend of mine who's the bishop for the second time now, my surfing buddy Kevin, regarding what he had to say about this picture and his being insulted by my hatred for the brethren and publicly expressing that on Facebook here. So I then yesterday attempted to just do a synopsis of that and not be too redundant on a kind of a short video, and well, short for me, like 19 minutes or so. And then I did that on the other phone, which I normally hook up to the hotspot on this one for reasons that are technical, and couldn't make the hotspot work. So here I am. So let's just go to some Facebook comments of mine recently, because I have been a little bit active there promoting truth. Okay, let's go. What do we have here? Oh yeah, so that you know, I rebranded as Dodger Dave, by the way. So Dodger Dave, not the Dodger Game channel anymore, and I'm doing that across social media now that I've got like 3 things and used 2 of them, right? Come on, we're getting there. I've got a lot to do just to survive right now, but I'm plugging ahead, and there are big plans or big intentions. Let's just start with my poem, because, you know, as narcissistic as I am, I love this poem of mine. Speaking of the Statue of Liberty, whom we see here. You can't see it very long. God, I don't even have a great picture for you there. Okay. Considering the occult roots of America as her manifest destiny, the new Atlantis was my intro. It's a video called Mormonism's Babylonian Mystery School Roots and America's Manifest Destiny as the New Atlantis. Some partially inspired by a dissertation I listened to from Manly Palmer Hall. Okay, her unhallowed hand holding Lucifer's light, she stands in the bay as the queen of the night, a mother of gods from ages of old. In Columbia's hand the times are foretold. In liberty's name by Freemasons given, desolation she brings to all nations under heaven. She's Diana to some and Isis to others, a torch in her hand and Lilith her mother. As Venus she rises in dawn's early light, or Atlantis she watches, her goal is in sight. An order of ages long lost in the past, its dawn she now heralds in triumph at last. Think about the message, people. So many political messages, oriented messages on Facebook these days, as so many ex-Mormons are caught in the trap of partisan politics, which are governed, regulated, and manipulated from the top, so that people can squabble about stuff and ignore the real issues. Okay, so a guy named Kevin Grow was posting his views. I'm involved with the apostates of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on Facebook. I think this guy is not in that group. No, definitely not. Anyway, he just said, something about something about sex being, kind of a God-invented thing, and he naming the purposes that he thinks it's for and intended by the God of Israel. So this Morag shepherd says, sex is awesome and Satan isn't real. And so I commented to Morag, and I also commented to Kevin. All right. Said I, though Christian theology is false and the development of the mythological character of Satan can be evaluated as such, the fact that many people pretend that the only reality is what they perceive with 5 of their senses, while they blow off various spiritual experiences they may have had in the past as strictly emotional. I'm speaking to a lot of ex-Mormons here who are now saying, oh, it's all about science and that was just all emotion-based, what I felt. And some of that is the case, and some of it is not, and that's what I'm addressing here. While they blow off various spiritual experiences they may have had in the past as strictly emotional, although they can be confused as such, because there are emotional experiences which mimic the spiritual, there are also many of us who have experienced things that are not possible to explain away through the tainted version of science we get from the Freemasons running the show. There are definitely dark entities which we can call satanic in nature, which are capable of doing things in the physical realm similar to what you might see in a poltergeist-style movie, and can manifest through black magic, which is much, much more prevalent in our society than most people have any idea, and is used by the elite. Let's just remember, the Book of Mormon mentions that there would be a great deal of magic and witchcraft in the land. Now, we can't just discount everything that's in the Book of Mormon. Just because it's not what it is said to be by the LDS Church doesn't mean that esoteric truth, doesn't mean that brainwashing and mind control manipulation isn't written into it, doesn't mean that facts regarding our society and its control by through secret societies isn't actual. So there's a lot of truth in the Book of Mormon. Whoever wrote it, which was not Joseph Smith, I am quite sure, had a great deal of esoteric knowledge. All right. My other comment was the God of the Bible. And Kevin Groh tells us how awesome God is. So I put, the God of the Bible has ordered the murder of so many people for so many reasons that are effing lame, including failure to worship his narcissistic ass just the way he likes. If he's real, he's a dick. Convicted by his own words, by his own prophets, and his own failed management of the earth. Who's this guy talking? Oh, he's talking to him too. So, yeah, I find a lot of I find people on both sides of the coin there that tend to fall into 2 groups when they leave Mormonism. The one group is exemplified on ex-Mormon Reddit, in which it sounds like Morag is in kind of running along with, just based on this comment. I haven't read enough of her stuff to really know. I'm not gonna pretend that I know this girl and everything that she represents or believes, but this is a comment that seems to be typical of those that completely go atheist and say there's no reality of an unseen world, and that everything's and that we should trust the science that we have presented by the establishment, which are the same group of folks that are invested in the LDS Church. So and the LDS religion, of course, is the religion of being mainstream, obeying your leaders. And that's what we continue to hear in ex-Mormonism. Guys like John DeLynn, who will tell us it's all about the science of psychology and the science of this and that, but all this stuff is still controlled by the same type of occultists at the top who teach us these exoteric bullshit teachings while keeping the esoteric knowledge to themselves so that they may more easily govern the masses. Or you've got those that turn to Jesus and somehow recognize that Mormonism is invented BS, but they don't see that the Flavian Gospels in the New Testament are BS, and they somehow ignore the problems with the fact that they say, God is unchanging, yet evidently they believe he went through some sort of anger management at some point and turned into the New Testament Jesus, who only occasionally throws psychopathic fits. Although, when he calmly teaches that you must hate your father and your mother in order to be worthy of him, well, he's kind of letting the cat out of the bag. But we just are conditioned to ignore things like that. And so I told Kevin Grow here that people, in an additional comment, that his he says he's seen Jesus and all this good stuff. Let's read that. Okay, so Kevin says, I know for a fact that Satan is real, just as I know beyond a doubt that Christ is real. I have felt my Savior's hands, I have seen his face and heard his voice. Not in my mind. I don't mind if you believe me or not, but I know what I know, and I cannot deny that Satan is real and Jesus Christ is real. God is the Father of your spirit. He loves you. You are his baby girl. Anyway, he goes on to, give some Mormon doctrine there, basically. He says, this is not, nor are my beliefs ingrained. These are beliefs and perceptions that have led me to faith, and over time led me to a great and tremendous knowledge that God is my Father and that he loves me. To this I responded, Kevin Grow, everyone takes their spiritual experiences as verification that their own ideologies are in fact correct. Just as a Muslim and a Mormon will swear that the same spiritual experience confirms that their God and their religion is the one true way to enlightenment and eternal life. Christianity uses exoteric teachings and makes the mistake to center them around an invented character with no historical basis in reality called Jesus Christ. Yeah, imagining a Jew naming their child Jesus Christ, using Greek names, which would be basically somehow that doesn't sound right, since that would be the as Greek as the lingua franca of the Roman Empire, would be just like cleaving to something that's considered unholy, and Christ meaning the anointed one. That would probably get your child killed. Anyway, not going to go over the historicity issues right there, but for people to fail to recognize that these Gospels were invented, and the conflict in trying to reconcile the evil God of the Old Testament, condoning rape, slavery, promoting it, human sacrifice, and genocide, also being approved of by the Jesus Christ character of the Gospels, there's no excuse for following or worshiping such an evil and hypocritical psychopathic narcissist as we find Yahweh to be in the Old Testament. And if Jesus Christ fully endorses him, which he does, then he's not a good guy. Okay, great. Let's go to some comments then from from videos then. just to get some healthy thoughts in my anti-Mormonism queue here to nourish the minds of everyone, if possible. Oh, by the way, so I think I'm going to upload, I think I'll play through the speaker system of this car, which is now currently waiting for dawn so I can get somebody to jump it because I left the key on where I fell asleep. Yeah, the video I uploaded to the Mormon Truth Videos channel, and maybe I can do that also with the one that I wasn't able to upload due to internet issues with hotspot. Yeah, so I haven't abandoned you people. It's just 4 out of my last 5 videos have not made it to the Dodger Game channel. Okay, first another Facebook comment from my Dodger Dave Facebook. Okay, so coffee and tea, says this person, coffee and tea are not against the word of wisdom. One being, oh, this is not the post. Excuse me. Gosh. Anyway, the post was just saying how we don't really follow the word of wisdom, that it's all inspired by the Lord and all this crap. And but pointing out the hypocrisy in how it is enforced for worthiness issues. In other words, you know, the person was pointing out the fact that there are do's as well as do nots in the word of wisdom, and you know, people get temple recommends not fully following the word of wisdom, like, you know, eating lots of meat and green jello and shit like that, basically, right? But I pointed out some other things here after they said that, you know, it's so inspired, and I said, or we could just realize that the Lord is a dumb shit out of the 19th century whose word of wisdom is nearly as ridiculous in its original form as after it's been interpreted and reinterpreted by directors of the corporate LDS empire, parading as representatives of an all-knowing, unchanging God. I remember when people got temple recommends drinking decaffeinated coffee, while now, yeah, I had some misspells or whatever, miss Google. Now caffeine is not even the issue, supposedly, because it's just a coffee and tea are evil, while we find Coca-Cola and even Diet Coke marketed at Brigham Young University, of course. Of course, that has nothing to do with what Jesus and his church have investments in, probably, right? Neither does the fact that the enforcement for pretended worthiness is as hypocritical as you are stating, since green jello and eating meat every day and drinking Diet Coke allows you to be worthy, but drinking green tea or coffee does not. Fake Jesus just can't make up his mind any more than he could with naming the church. All right. Or what to do with kids from queer couples, as the prophets flip-flop faster than Mitt Romney and Donald Trump do, or faster than Donald Trump flip-flops women. So, the hypocrisy of the word of wisdom is what I'm bringing out here, since coffee and tea can be, you know, have some healthful effects, and, you know, green tea especially, which is still the same tea, it's just the stage that the leaves are in, versus crap like Diet Coke, you know, marketed on the Lord's campus. I mean, seriously, Jesus needs to get a little bit, you know, more educated about nutrition. We also see the hypocrisy of the church in the enforcement issue being financially related. In other words, if the spirit of the word of wisdom was truly to keep you healthy, okay, then the whole meat thing would be enforced. In other words, only eat meat in times of famine, or it is pleasing unto the Lord if you eat it not at all, basically. It says, which kind of goes along with Joseph Smith's changing of Genesis, where, it says that you shouldn't shed the blood of any animals. So, what does that have to do with money? Well, look at the cattle ranches that the church owns, eating tons of sugar and green jello as a way of eating sugar. Well, the sugar industry. The church bought heavily into the sugar industry, and from what I have read, that was facilitated through going into debt by mortgaging, like even the temple properties and so forth, to Union Bank of New York, a Rockefeller bank at the time, and the church was in default on those loans. No telling how they got out of default. I wonder if giving stock ownership in the company store, the church, the corporation of the President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, to Union Bank of New York could have occurred. Any thoughts about that? Any thoughts about Brigham Young being backed by Kuhn and Loeb, being tutored by a Jesuit as a high-level Freemason himself? Obviously, he had esoteric knowledge and used occult teachings such as the blood atonement doctrine and other things, Adam God. Those are mystery religion teachings that go way back before Christianity. So, or they're derived from such teachings. Just as ordinances and rituals underneath the ground level are, when we're thinking of baptisms for the dead, for instance. So, just trying to throw out some gems here. Has so much to do with following the money trail so many times. Okay, let me pause it and go to a couple comments, and then we'll not make this super long. All right, here's one from like 1 day ago. This is my most recent comment, since I haven't been producing anything lately on this channel. Glad I found your channel. Lots of good info. This is Rapsman. The owner of Marriott Hotels, J.W. Marriott Jr. The owner? Okay, well, we've got to remember that this is, publicly traded at this point. However, Marriott influence, I'm sure, is quite real. The owner of Marriott Hotels, J.W. Marriott Jr., have a selection of porn at their hotels, as well as serving alcoholic beverages, and more recently have been catering to the gay traveler. What happened to his high moral standard? This person sounds like they might be a Christian. My reply was, these things are not new. They do whatever brings the money. I used to wonder these things myself before I understood that Luciferians run the religion at the top, and these generational elite families all have their roles, whether in politics, business, or church government, or both. And of course, many of them don't even believe the baloney they teach the members. That's right, there's always the secret religion for the elite on the inside or at the top, the generational satanic families that are at the core of the LDS and other churches and of society. All these organizations, whether it's Freemasonry, all these fraternities or churches, you've got what's taught on the outside to all the dumb shits that pay tithing and do all the work, and the guys at the top, the Freemasons at the top, such as your Christian evangelists as well, don't believe the shit they're peddling to the people at all. It's just a big show. Okay. Next comment I'll read is the next one, and it looks to me from the icon that it was from this video with Madeline, who runs one of those interviews we did. She runs Galactic Storyteller. I recommend her channel. She's very smart. Grew up in the church and she has a lot of esoteric knowledge as well. Okay, so this person says, it troubles me that ex-Mormons don't realize that the whole of Christianity is a cult started by Constantine as a measure of controlling the people. Apply the ex-Mormon principles onto Christianity in general. It's 100% pagan. That's similar to what I was just saying. My reply was, I think you need to back up about 300 years and catch it with the Flavian commissioned Gospels, inventing the myth of the oxymoronic pacifist Jewish Messiah. And there you have it. A Messiah is a war hero for the Jewish, cult there, and not a sacrificial lamb. All right, Andrew Krauth says, the definition of a cult describes all religions. My reply, I believe that you intended to say the definition of a cult, not the occult, defines all religions the cult practices they are cult practices, the esoteric knowledge not shared in the religion with the initiates of the lower levels, but gives them exoteric bullshit. So I had translation errors, and that's basically what I was just saying. Yeah. In my last one there. All right, Perry Chronicles says, good song choice, referencing the last video I put up. NIB was the song I was doing the temple signs to, Nativity in Black, and I substituted Dodger Dave for Lucifer when it says, look in my eyes, you'll see who I am. My name is Dodger Dave. Please take my hand. So I was using that for my rebranding as well. Yes, layered messaging hidden all throughout these videos. What am I, an NLP guy? Okay, Nina D says 3 weeks ago. Oh, what is she commenting? Oh, okay, it was the look at all these happy Mormons getting married in the temple video that I did at the Los Angeles temple parking lot. She says, I wonder if that's why I didn't stick with the Mormon church. I always hated singing the primary songs and the hymns growing up. Maybe that spared me from the alpha wave brainwashing technique. That's something I mentioned in there. That's a technique, lulling you. The television does that as well, lulling you into a semi-hypnotic state where you're very receptive through the singing of these repetitious hymns, which repetitiously and through hypnotic cadence and repetition then go ahead and place doctrinal ideas in your mind which are false. Follow the prophet. Follow the prophet, follow the prophet, he knows the way. As you slip into semi-consciousness, you remember just pay, pray, and obey. That's all you got to do. So glad you got out early. Thank you for all your watching and support of the Dodger Games channel and the Mormon Truth Videos Gospel Topics Hub. Okay, there we go. All right, maybe we'll finish up here. This is a comment by Travis Wayne Goodsell. Travis has his own YouTube channel and makes, I think, some pretty good videos. He's researched things very well in some of the videos he's presented, and let's see what he has to say here. He's evidently responding to me responding to him here on something. So he says, Dodger, I believe this video of my book, which was a back and forth YouTube debate with a troll pretending to be Mormon, is the video you were mentioning. with the changing roles of Brigham Young's missionary 12 turning into the administrative quorum of the 12. So here Travis has got a link. You might want to check it out. Then he says, if this is not the one, I'll keep searching. Thanks, Travis. So he continues. Joseph's church never registered as a church, so all it was a movement. Brigham Young, taking over his slaves, assumed succession, so he also didn't register the church as a church. It wasn't until 1923 when the church in Utah filed with the state to declare Mormons are not members, or in legal terms, the Mormon members no longer manage the organization. Now it is managed. It is manager, or it has a manager, is managed. Its manager it's managed as a corporation. This was done in secret without Mormon members' knowledge or say. Here's the link with the actual documents filed by the church. Hey, thanks, Travis. That's awesome. I don't know why I hadn't seen this comment before. So when you consider the church is not a church, but a corporation posing as a church, and then you realize that its business model is a pyramid scheme, all right, then he's got another link here on LDS Church Priestcraft Pyramid Scam. The LDS Church Movement Corporation, or whatever, is heading for a major crash. Okay, thanks, Travis. Yeah, these guys parade as representatives of a divine being who is all-knowing and unchanging, which is ridiculous, which is basically the easiest way to debunk the church, or to prove the truth and authority claims of the church are false, is by noticing that it's just filled with contradiction to its own authority, truth and authority claims in its history, in the revisionism, in the contradictions in the doctrine by the Jesus Christ character himself. And so we've got these guys parading in front of the members of the church, as we are called, members, which makes you feel you have some kind of ownership, but you don't. You're just a customer for a false product, which is eternal life, and happily together with your family, and worlds without end, and all that good stuff. And then the fulfillment of the deal there that you're paying for when you pay your tithing and obey these is accomplished by this same imaginary being or evil being in another existence, so they have no legal obligation to fulfill the terms of the contract that this corporation and set of corporations is marketing falsely or fraudulently. Of course, the lawsuits and more publicized recent lawsuit, the one in Britain, didn't do so well due to the structure there of what we call law. However, this one might bring more attention that's in the United States that's been mentioned lately on Facebook for the fraudulent history and so forth put forth by the church. So you got these guys parading as divine representatives in the organization of what we call the church, and then we've got the fact that they're just a bunch of corporate, board of directors guys and employees, these GAs, who my friend Kevin said give us selfless service, and I pointed out to him in that little synopsis, at least, of my response to LDS, friends offended by my Facebook posting, that it's not selfless service when you're receiving a six-figure remuneration for said services, plus benefits and perks. So, check out Travis's links here. What I was referring to that he's mentioning is the structural changes in the priesthood governance of the LDS Church in its so-called spiritual administration. And then again, he's mentioning changes in the corporate management of the business which the church really is, in disguise. And with that, I'm going to say have a happy Friday and be not deceived. Sharing these videos, sharing the Mormon Truth Videos Gospel Topics Hub links in conversations on YouTube is really helpful. I've got all those individual pages with their own links, a bunch of them that I've been throwing in descriptions so you can easily access them. Copy the portion you'd like to, paste it where you're, going to reference it as it pertains to a subject where, some additional enlightenment after your comment that's relevant to the subject you're talking about can spread, good material. And I like the website that I created. It's not perfect. It's a work in progress, and I don't have a lot of time to work on it all the time. But you've got subject by subject written composition, and sometimes I even get past my prolific run-on sentences, and then we've got videos integrated that are subject appropriate. So, yeah. Let's share that, people. Like, subscribe, and share links that will bring people these resources in video format to help them understand they've been duped by the LDS Church. So here's a bunch of links right here. For instance, I just threw them in Google Docs. So if you copied and pasted it in your own Google Docs, then if you're reading something about a seer stone or something, for instance, then or the first vision, you can just copy and paste, and then people can go to that particular page, and it's going to have a lot of information both in written and in video format, which I think is a really helpful way to create a resource for study about these particular topics relating to LDS truth and authority claims. This one obviously being first vision related. Okay, I'm out.